Superior Spider-Man is terrible. Terribly ended. I actually love the comic. I'm not gonna lie to you. I love the comic. That is one comic that I can proudly say I have actually read. That Invincible Boys, yeah, but then all like I watched a video of somebody reading it. Ultimate Spider-Man was amazing. It's a few of the comics I read, right? Batman, and the Court of Owls, amazing, right? The Killing Joke, of course. Like these are good comics, right? And I also read thoroughly, which is something that I really do with comics, by the way, in terms of this Superior Spider-Man. But pretty much before I go over how I think that the comic was ended terribly, let's instead look at how the story goes, how the story starts, and how it ends, right? And then and everything in between, because then you will see what I mean when I say it has been ended terribly, right? Now, before I get into that, let me know if you want to see more comic videos, more anime videos, more ranting videos, me talking about any topic. Let me know in the comment section down below, and let me know if this would be something that you would like to see. Now, let's get back into it, right? So, how does the comic start, right? For anyone who didn't read this fire ass comic, right? It starts with Doctor Octopus and Mike Goat Spider-Man fighting, right? And right before Spider-Man is gonna Doctor Octopus Octobot, right? And he switches bodies with Peter, right? And when they switch bodies, I'm actually going to be referring to Peter as Peter and Otto as Otto, even though they switch bodies, right? And Peter tries to plead with Doctor Octopus to spare him, right? Because Doctor Octopus is sick body, right? And Doc Ock decides that it'd be the most honorable, most respectful, most heroic thing to do by switching body. Who am I fucking kidding? Doc Ock ends Peter, right? He ends Peter. But right before he ends Peter, Peter decides to show him pretty much like a montage of his life flashing before his eyes, right? Of all the things he's been through. And Doc Ock is like, you know what? Let me be Spider Man. Not only am I going to be Spider Man, I'm going to be a superior Spider Man. Yeah, see what I did there? They actually say it in the comic, by the way. But anyway, so Peter's dead, right? Of course, Peter's dead at this point, whatever. And he's dead. He's not dead in the sense where he's gone, but he's dead in the sense that he's not like here. And what I mean is, he's a ghost now. Welcome to Ghost Peter. Now, it's your favorite spider person, Peter Parker. He's a ghost. Of course, they wasn't going to kill him off, right? And so what happened was, after Doc Ock smoked Peter's back, Peter's consciousness soul decided to stick around, right? So he technically haunts Doc Ock, and he tries to be the voice of reason of what Peter would actually versus what Doc Ock does, right? And it just goes to show like he's kind of like an angel on the shoulder, except that Doc Ock can't even hear him. So it's more like a subconscious, right? Somewhat. It's more like a feeling. He can somewhat feel Peter here and there. He tries like super, super hard. He can somewhat hear Peter, but more like kind of like someone calling your name, but you don't know what they're saying, kind of thing, right? So I remember, I think he fights the scorpion in Peter's body, right? Doc Ock, that is. And it's where he punches the scorpion hard, right? He punches him like square in the jaw, and he actually kills him, right? So he punches him so hard, his jaw is gone, right? So Scorpion's dead, and everybody who's with Scorpion just runs away. They're like, "What? He killed him? Oh no, I didn't sign up for this." And Doc Ock is just standing there, confused and scared because he realizes that Peter has been holding back all this time, and that truthfully, if he really wanted to, he could have ended it a long time ago, right? So after that, he decides to make some spider bots to help him patrol the city because he sees that Peter just pretty much just swings around and just doesn't do that, right? So he decides to make spider bots and he creates an app, right? Kind of like in Spider-Man PS4, where you can like I mean, kind of like in Miles Morales, right? Where you can log into the app and you can like hover it where you can have Spider-Man speed. Hey, I need help. I'm here, 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 here. I'm at this specific location, right? That's pretty much how it is. And of course, it helps him become a better Spider-Man because he has eyes all over the city. He gets to see crime in progress, and he cuts down crime even more than what Peter can do, right? And especially before they get out of hand. Like let's say instead of Peter showing up to like a car jacking, right? Or like the guy already got the car, be a car jacking. Otto sees it from the guy even is trying to run up and trying to rob the woman, or trying to like take the car, or try to hardwire the car. Otto stops it before he can even turn into like a police chase, like all that, right? So after that, I think he runs into Sinister, who I remember correctly, or like we're showing parts of Sinister, the villain. And pretty much it's where he has a gun. He can't feel pain or whatever. I think he's like a sociopath, psychopath, something like that. He can't feel pain, he can't feel emotion, right? So he doesn't. So things like human empathy or the empathy of others, he cannot feel. He doesn't really like care about it, right? And he kills people. And pretty much, if I remember correctly, he has these specific people, right? Bombs, right? He has bombs strapped to them. So all is defusing the bombs and everything. And it's this part where like this woman goes about how like thank you so much, and she hugs him, right? And Otto feels that empathy for his time, right? And he feels good that this woman is able to see her daughter again because she's like, oh my god, thank you, you saved me. I'm able to see my daughter again. I thank you so much. Thank you, Spider-Man. And he actually likes that. Like, that moves him because he's like, instead of trying to bomb city blocks and kill all these people, because he was a mass murderer, right? Dog was a mass murderer, right? And it's a thing where him just feeling that empathy from someone being grateful that he saved them is just something that he just like has no choice but to really like and respect, right? And it touches him, right? So it's a thing where it plants the seed for him to feel empathy, right? And it's one of my favorite moments too, where now I'm gonna be jumping around a little bit, right? One of my favorite moments of this comic is that moment because it really shows that Otto is trying to make a real deal change, right? In himself as a person, right? Now, like I mentioned, they sprinkle Massacre here and there, right? In the story. So now it's the showdown between him and Doc Ock, right? So he is, of course, in the bank trying to rob it, right? And he's shooting people or whatever the cops are in the bank and everything. So he's holding them off, right? And pretty easily too, until Otto comes in, right? So him and Otto are fighting for a little. Otto easily beats him up, right? And he already defused the bombs. And the moment where Massacre is like, oh, what about the bombs? And then he's like, oh yeah, the bombs I already defused. And Massacre has like, oh what? You did what? Right? So it's a thing where pretty much, like I mentioned, he now Otto is pissed, right? Otto is pissed. Now he's pissed mainly because he was already shooting civilians and he tied those people up. He tried to kill them, right? And bomb them, right? And Otto, I think, takes the gun. He shoots Masker in the leg, right? So Masker is now disabled. He's he crippled Masker, right? And then he holds the gun to his head. He says, "Gun to your head. Name 5 digits." I'm sorry. I had to. I had to. Gun to his head. I'm corny. But anyway, doesn't matter. He has a gun, and he is asking, "Why should I spare you?" So Peter, Ghost Peter, now, right? Now remember, we can't hear him. We as a reader, we can see what he's saying, but Otto can't hear him, right? So it's a thing where he's going on and on and on about why, and Masker is crying, mind you, right? During all this, gun to his head and everything. He's crying because he knows he's about to die, right? Or there's a chance that he's going to die. So Ghost Peter is like, no, don't do it. Don't do it, right? The mere fact that he's crying means that he can be rehabilitated, right? This is a breakthrough, right? Because he tried to get therapy, he tried to rehabilitate, but nothing has worked, right? This moment right here is proof that he can change. And Otto says no. And then from the crowd in the background, right? All the people in the bank, they're like, shoot him, Spider-Man, do it. Get rid of this monster. Guess what happens? He pulls the trigger. And when that happens, bro, Peter's like, no. Now I told you this bitch ass nigga Oscar was crying and everything. Peter's like, no. That means he can be rehabilitated. And Otto is like, no. He escaped from prison. He bombed up people. Like, if I wasn't, all those logic is, if I wasn't there to stop those people from being like exploded, those people would be gone. Those people were gone. Even so, you look around the bank, there's bodies there. He was shooting the police officers. He was already killing people in the bank, and he was getting ready that in case Spider-Man went there and tried to disarm him or capture him, those people will be dead. Right? Now, contrast this moment of Otto just destroying Massacre. Of course, he killed him, of course. But it's also a thing where I believe that if Spider-Man's thing would have been, those people would have been the main thing that would have been his crutch. But Otto, he doesn't have that crutch. Oh, dodge a few gunfire here and there, whatever. Now, somebody did get shot when he's dodged. I'm not gonna lie. But for Otto, it's like, without one person got shot, and I get to kill this villain, versus if Peter was in that same situation, people already got shot, and then now he has to potentially die or be in a life-threatening scenario because Massacre now has to get behind by having those people in that building, right? That he's gonna bomb. So now Peter has to like maneuver and find a different way to defeat Massacre. But Otto took that away, and Otto was like, "No, I'm finishing it now," right? So all those things is like, why I let this mass murderer? He escaped from prison. I'm not gonna let you live. So that happens, and of course, um, now Jay Jonah Jameson is the mayor, right? If I remember correctly, Jay Jonah actually commends Otto, Spider-Man, Otto for killing him, right? And he knows that there's a difference, right? So during this point in time, of course, Otto gets congratulated and everything, right? But he also turns the Raft, which is where they used to hold supervillains, into his own base operation, right? And and since he has the spider bots and he has the prisoners from the Raft being his henchmen now, it's pretty much a police, right? With people being monitored 24/7, people are starting not to like it, you know what I mean? And all that. And while this is going on, right, the Avengers notice that there's a difference in Spider-Man. Like, this is not who he it's not how he used, right? So they become suspicious, and one of his main exes, or the main person who became suspicious, was his ex, Carly Cooper. Now, she has big news because she actually cracks down on how this can't be Peter. Because Peter doesn't move this way. Mary Jane doesn't realize, which is bad characterization from Mary Jane. Because if you read a comic like Craven's Last Hunt, during that comic, Mary Jane doesn't know that Peter is actually dead, but she sees Spider-Man save her, right? And he noticed that Spider-Man isn't cracking jokes, very silent, and he's beating these criminals very brutally, right? And she's like, "Yeah, you're not Peter." Off of just that, and contrast that with this comic where she doesn't even realize that this is a whole different person from how he's talking, from how he solves crime, from how he does all this type of stuff, right? She realizes that, yeah, this is not the same person. Like, she does not realize that this is not the same person, but Carly does. But anyway, doesn't matter, right? So some people got beat up, and they got beat the shit via Otto being Spider-Man and all. And then he runs him on Black Cat, and this sexy ass, right? He's trying to seduce her and everything. I'm jumping around because I think this is after he meets this girl. Doesn't matter. He beats the shit out of Black Cat. It's funny, bro. He beats the shit out of Black Cat. Now, during this point in time, I think he also meets Anna Maria. Hold on, let me check my notes real quick. Let me see. Let me see. Okay. So he meets Anna Maria, the goat, right? He meets Anna Maria, and uh, before he gets to college, he actually realizes that Peter doesn't have his doctorate, right? And he becomes so mad that he's working in this lab, right? Run by like some other dude, I forgot his name. I'll probably put it in, right? And he storms out of the lab and he's like, "Oh, Parker doesn't have his doctorate? I am offended," right? So they go there and he immediately enrolls in the university. And he actually ends up in the class of someone that Otto used to bully in college. It was hilarious. I think he calls him Snot because he has like a huge ass nose and he's fat. It's hilarious, right? So because Otto has this cocky and arrogant attitude, as if he knows the whole curriculum, which he does, because he's a genius. It's a thing where the professor gives him a hard time, right? Because of such, because he has that cockiness of. So it was where during this time in the class, he meets Anna Maria, and Anna Maria gives him her number and says, "Hey, if you need to ring, call me," right? So he actually shows up. Now Anna Maria already knows, and he straight up tells her as well, "Hey, I am a genius. I don't need your help in tutoring. I already know the whole curriculum, right?" But when they're spending time, he realizes that he likes her. And he started catching feelings for her, right? And they started talking. Eventually, they start dating as well, right? So that's a little thing I had to add in there too. And of course, they're dating, and then that's when the thing with Black Cat happened afterwards, right? But there's also a crossover event where Miguel O'Hara comes back in time, right, to stop Otto from killing one of his ancestors, which I think is Sloan, something like that. No, I think it's Smite, something like that. I can't remember. And they end up fighting in their persona, in their Spider-Man like attire. Now this takes place after another comic book timeline, I think, where Miguel already met Peter and they solved I think they saved the world again or something like that. Or saved the timeline or something. And he's referring to Otto as Peter, right? Or whatever. And Otto doesn't know who the hell he is because he doesn't have all the pieces of Peter, right? So they're fighting, they're scrapping, and he's like, yeah, someone's up, right? And then it was a point in time where I think Miguel volunteered with Otto to become like his assistant, right? And work for Otto because Otto has his own company at this point. He founded Parker in this after in this point in time, right? And it's where he founded Parker Industries or whatever, blah 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 blah. And then from he founded the Parker Industries, Miguel works for him in the alter ego. Until there's this time bomb situation where I think the guy that Otto works with was trying to like do time travel, which he figures out, right? But it ends up being the thing where it ends up becoming unstable. So there's like this bomb now, right? Miguel knows how to defuse the bomb. Otto wants to figure it out and do it in the moment, right? So Otto is trying to let his ego take over, and he wants to defuse the bomb because he wants to prove that he's more intelligent than Miguel, right? And Miguel, and he ends up having to win. Otto ends up doing the time bomb. I think he gets sent to a different like timeline. But anyway, different story, right? Then moving forward, we have Norman Osborn, who turns into Goblin King. Now, he notices the spider bots, right? He hacks into them to where crime is still happening, but the Goblin in crime, right? So all of his henchmen and him himself are not recognized by spider bots, right? So it's programmed into them that they cannot recognize him and his crew, right? And that was like the main flaw. So they recognize, so Otto realizes that, damn, I'm getting beaten by Goblin. I can't beat him, right? And all that. So he realizes that, damn, I'm overwhelmed. I can't deal with it, right? And then he realizes that his superior approach has been doing more harm than good. You know what I mean? Than Peter's approach, right? So in the final battle, right? Otto goes back to his lab and he switches bodies with Ghost Peter or whatever, right? I'm skipping a lot, I know. But he switches his bodies with Ghost Peter and everything. And he lets Peter beat Goblin, right? Now the series ends, everything. Otto's technically dead, but not really. Had a clone body. And then he ended up going to the clone body, changed the haircut. So he now lives in San Francisco and everything and all that. And then of course that series continues on into Amazing Spider-Man relaunch, right? Or whatever. So that's a brief history. I skipped over a lot of stuff. But the main part of the video, so the story sounds good, right? The story is good, and that is the main event of the previous Spider-Man comic, right? Or whatever. So tell me why, right? Tell me why, for some reason, he's doing all that good stuff as Superior Spider-Man in a different city, right? He has his own comic book and everything. So he is Elliot Tolliver in San Francisco a day, Superior Spider-Man at night, right? Cool. So tell me why, right? Tell me why. There's a particular point, right? Where Norman Osborn comes back, right? But it's a different Osborn from a different reality, right? This one has spider powers and he has 6 arms, right? Which is very different, right? He has 6 arms. And for some reason, Otto can't beat him, right? Cool. Understandable, right? That happens, right? Peter needs help too, sometimes. Instead of now, Otto knows Peter. Otto can ask Peter for help in anything. He can ask literally anybody for help, right? And I'm sure they will help. Instead of him asking for help, do you know what Otto does? Instead of asking for help, Otto makes a deal with Mephisto. And you may wonder, why is that such a bad thing? Mephisto is the same being that when Peter wanted to save Aunt May's life when she got shot, right? After he revealed his secret identity, and one more day, Peter goes there, sells his marriage from Mephisto to save Aunt May's life, right? That Mephisto. That's why people hate that particular story. And he does the same thing, right? Now the deal is that Mephisto will get rid of Norman, He'll just get rid of him, right? But the exchange is that in order for him to get Norman, to save the whole like city or whatever, Otto has to go back to being his old self. And I'm like, oh my god, that's so fucking stupid. That's so fucking stupid. Now, the reason why it's stupid is because that didn't even happen. That did not need to happen. It's just an instance of um Marvel editorial wanting to change stuff in the story. That's all it is. Because that's why One More Day happened. They did not like the fact that Peter was growing up. They didn't like the fact that he was having a family and all that, even though those stories do well. Evidenced by Ultimate Spider-Man, right? The new one where he has 2 kids, right? And he gets Spider-Man powers later on, right? After the Maker, did this whole thing where he erased superheroes and all that thing, whatever, right? So it's such a stupid thing, and it's so obvious that they just wanted to maintain status quo, which I hate with Spider-Man stories because I feel as if Spider-Man is the type of character where you can feel yourself grow with him. Me personally, I like Spider-Man because when I was in high school, I can relate to him. I was a loser in high school. Then we get the girl, had some, and or actually no, I dated a girl in high school, whatever, whatever, right? I can relate with that with Ultimate Spider-Man, right? But then now I'm in college, I can relate to the older 60s Spider-Man or the first iterations of Spider-Man because I'm in college, I have a job, I have things going on, I have to battle, I have to tackle all these responsibilities, all that, right? But now it's a thing where they're trying to reverse that. There's not many stories of Spider-Man being an adult. You know, there's not many. There's not that many stories of him continuously being an adult, or him getting older, having a family, passing on the, which he did with Miles. But then I would like to see where he has a family. He's chilling, bro, because that's the next milestone in my life, and I'm sure other people's lives, right? And other people's lives, right? I'm sure they want to see Peter be an adult, actually get to grow up. But they don't want that to happen. I see that in Marvel editorial a lot, where they want to keep these heroes in like a perpetual cycle of, hey, this is just what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And it's just lazy writing to me. The whole Mephisto thing is lazy writing because it's easily we want to maintain status quo. Now I do get it. I'm not saying it's right. I do understand why they did it because Doctor Octopus is a very memorable superhero. I mean, a supervillain, right? So when you think of Spider-Man villains, you think of course, the Green Goblin, maybe Craven, but you for sure think about Doctor Octopus for sure, especially with the Sam Raimi movie as well. He was a main villain, of course, Venom, but Doctor Octopus is of course top 5, bro. Top 5 Spider-Man villains that you can remember. Top 5 easily. So having him not be Doctor Octopus, even though Spider-Man has a lot of fucking villains, his rogues gallery is huge, right? Just like his roster of women, right? But the thing where you look at that and you think to yourself, why are you making him a villain again? All this character development, him gaining empathy, him becoming a better Spider-Man, him learning how to date, him being a real person, him understanding what it's like to be a good person, for him to throw all that out to go defeat Norman instead of ask for help, that's stupid. That's stupid. And then he finds out, right? And it contradicts the ending of Superior Spider-Man, because in Superior Spider-Man, he gets help. He gets help in the form of he sacrificed himself to let Peter take over so that Peter can beat Goblin. He knows. So that's him asking for help. So now he has a second chance at life, and you're telling me he's going to give it all up because he's going to be a villain again? Come on, that doesn't even make sense. That's actually now, of course, with Superior Spider-Man, if you think people were mad at the fact that Dan Slott killed off Peter and had him and just had him dead like a first for a couple of issues, but he came back as Ghost Peter. If you think people were mad at that, they were especially mad at the fact that Otto is a villain again. But I mean, I do get it. I do understand why they reversed it. I just think it ruins like the plot point and the character development of Otto, personally. But I feel as if it's a really executed story. I really like the plot point. It's really different too. But with that said, that is why I think it has a terrible ending, bro. The ending was horrible. Honestly, to me. It was terrible to me. To me personally. It was terrible to me. Now the reason why I say it's terrible to me, of course, is because they reversed everything, all that, yeah. But I do get it somewhat because Doctor Octopus is like I mentioned before, is a prominent villain. So I get it. But it just feels as if like it's a big spin in the face to like Doctor Octopus, the people who read that Superior Spider-Man who loved the story and everything. It just feels like a big spin in the face. Doesn't matter. But with that said, if you like to see more comic manga videos from me in the future, let me know in the comment section down below. Alright? Let me know what y'all think. Let me know if you want to see more original content from me, or if you want to see my regular reactions. Let me know in the comment section down below. That's it, the Buff Shaman. Out.